Pleasure to be here with Tiny Viz Talk this evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gabor Ratkovics, and over the last summer, I was working for European Data Journal, a periodical that addresses various European issues with a data-centric approach. For this evening, I brought to you a case study of one of my previous articles about the extent of movement of the various European cities over the coronavirus pandemic. And I would like to use this case study to guide you through which I believe are three key principles of effective data visualization. So let me share my screen. So I have a very long list of European cities here. And next to them is the percentage of people that were moving on the week of 25 March, the week when many European governments implemented lockdowns. As you can see, there were cities that followed the lockdown rules pretty well, but there were also cities that were a little bit less disciplined. The purpose of this example would be to prepare a visualization of this with a barcode that is generally used for visualizing the rank and order. So after reading in this table and calling all the relevant libraries, I would like to produce an output of this plot. And in one moment you can see that this is the graph that we get. But there are a lot of improvements that can be made. We are not very happy with this, as the labels for our columns are flowing in all together on the x-axis. And also the data is not sorted in any sense. So one quick way to fix this would be to use a command called reorder, for which we will have to specify a value that we like our data to be sorted on. For us, this would be the percentage of people that are moving in the week that is concerned, which is compared to the baseline period. If I add this, the data is now all sorted. However, I still have this problem that my column labels are flowing together. That's why I was thinking about doing an axis moving here. So you see, just with a few quick fixes, we achieved that we had a lot of data to visualize. But as a result of this adjustment, we were getting somewhere where our data was a lot more legible and much better arranged. The second thing that I would like to point or touch in this talk is about the use of colors in data visualizations. At the moment, our columns are still gray, and to me, it doesn't look very nice. So one easy way to actually add fill colors to the diagram is to specify a fill color that can be anything, whatever color you like. Maybe I will put green here. But a better way to use colors in visualizations is to actually supply it as an aesthetic. In particular, if a feature of the data is used for coloring, then the colors can have a special meaning. In this case, I would like to use my percentages to show up as colors. So you see, now we have the data sorted, and we see that the cities that were following lockdown rules are colored with this dark blue shade, whereas cities that were a little bit more lenient and didn't really stay at home, have a light blue shade. But to improve this even further, for me, colors always have a secondary meaning. And for example, if I use red, this is something that is banning things, or that is pointing out that something needs improvement. That is why it is possible to use with a continuous color fill a special command that can specify colors for high and low values. And if I make this change, now I see that the cities that were the most dynamic over this lockdown period now are shaded with the red color. So far we covered how to arrange data when we have a lot of data to visualize, and we also touched upon how to use colors to communicate communicate effectively. And the final thing I would like to point out is that it is very important to make visualizations neat and use titles that can make interpretation easier for an audience. So far in this diagram, we have axis labels that are not very clear, and maybe it would be very difficult to interpret for someone who has not seen the code before. So I will use the let's command to specify better axis labels and also give a title to this diagram. One way to give a title is just to describe the data that you are visualizing, maybe the extent of movement in European cities in the week of 25 March. But the titles that I prefer to use are titles that can really make interpretation easier. For example, if I inspect this data, I see that the cities that are moving the most over the lockdown were all based in the UK. That's why I decided to give this title that UK has among the most dynamic cities during coronavirus lockdown. And if I add this, I arrived at a diagram that I am happy with. It is also very important to name your sources just to make your visualizations credible. So just to summarize the key takeaways from this case study, I think you shouldn't be afraid if you have a lot of data to visualize, which sometimes seems to be a little bit disorganized, because just with a few quick fixes, it is possible to make data legible and to make sense. Second, use colors for actually conveying a message. Colors are there, first of all, to make visualizations more aesthetic, but at the same time, they can be also used to communicate a message. And finally, I would like to point out that it is very important to use proper axis labeling and give a title that can make interpretation really easier for your audience. This is all that I wanted to say for today. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Gabor. That was really, really interesting and a great application of COVID data. First question from me, just while we're coming into the Q&A, is why specifically you chose, or you prefer R to do analysis over, say, for example, Excel, which can produce bar charts as well, a lot more user-friendly way.
So for me, one of the reasons was that apart from having a background in law, I also completed a degree in statistics at the London School of Economics, and there I got an extensive introduction to the R programming environment, which is why I'm more comfortable to do visualizations with R. In particular, the ggplot package is a great way to do bar plots, box plots, and other kinds of visualizations.
Mm-hmm. I think it's preferred by a lot of data scientists as well. It seems like, yeah, there are a lot of packages which are set up just for the kind of customization that you mentioned. So why, also another question on that topic, why do you think that color is so important in particular? You used it really well, I think, to show, the countries with bigger movement as red as a more alarming situation. Why in general would you say that that's important?
So I think colors are there to make things that look dull a little bit more interesting, more colorful in some sense. And for visualizations in particular, it's important to worry about or to care about aesthetics as well. Mm-hmm. That's why I believe it's very important to use colors. But as I mentioned, not just for arriving at an aesthetically pleasing diagram, but they can also be used to actually convey a message.